Hey everybody, I have a video here for you today, and this is one I've been putting together over the last 3 or 4 days. I thought I'd talk about Serpent Mound. I did some initial videos on it about 3 years ago, just some initial impressions, and I really hadn't done a lot of research on it, but I thought it was a good time now since I'm talking about ancient America. And I know some of you checked out Matt at Ancient Architects video on Serpent Mound yesterday. I thought that was very good. Check that out if you want to. But here is a look at really the most famous serpent effigy we have in the ancient United States. But we have many, and they're scattered from coast to coast. But here, you get a good look at it. The tail, the coiled tail, the undulating body, and then up here we have an oval. There's been a lot of things theorized what this represents, but there is some structures here that are lost to time, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about a theory that I put out there a few years ago on what this could represent. But let's look at on the 3D level here, and here you see how it's built on an outcrop, on a point, like many ancient structures are, it seems. But there is a river here, and this was built next to the edge of an ancient asteroid or meteor strike crater that's 4 miles across. And I always think about that, and the serpent being tied to Native American myths. The serpent is tied to comets, and we have myths coming from North America about a comet, and really the tail of the comet destroying the old world and the creation of a new world. And of course the serpent sheds its skin, and though the serpent has many meanings, one of them certainly is regeneration and creation. And this seems to be the most important symbol coming from the ancient United States, because it's really shown from coast to coast, and I'll show you that in just a second. But is this the most important symbol of regeneration, a recreation of a new world? Well, I can't help but think that. But here you see the geology of the area, how it's kind of built up on a stone outcrop here, overhead, and then kind of on a 3D level here. Now you can leave your comments below, but I'm just putting out my thoughts and what my intuition tells me this is all about. I think it's about creation. It's about maybe an event that happened. The serpent's tied to the comet stories or things falling from the heavens. And here we have a 3-coiled tail, representations of our planet. In the solar system is the 3rd rock from the sun. We have a 3-coiled tail here. And we have some legends coming from the earliest myths of North America about a serpent, about destruction. And I just can't help but think that it's related to stories that we are learning about, coming from a long time ago, and really devastation on this planet. It's reflected in the myths of North American tribes, and they sound just like the stories of Noah or other people surviving the flood and repopulating the earth. Now I'm just going to show you some snake effigies all across the United States. This is one that came across the river near Mound State Park, where that giant henge was, where they were doing astronomical observations. Here is one near the Des Plaines River. I believe this is in Iowa. Now here is a diagram of a serpent effigy. Looks like multiple ones near Potosi, Wisconsin. But here is a video I did about 3 years ago. This comes from South Dakota, a snake effigy. This is called Snake Butte, and some other circular structures nearby. Now here is a snake effigy snaking through the forest, built up with some rocks, and the head looks like it's made out of some original stone in the ground here. But these are common through Ohio and Tennessee and Kentucky. Now here is a serpent effigy near Lyons, Kansas. And here you see the similar symbolism we see at Serpent Mound. And I'm going to get back to Kansas because I think I found the Serpent Mound that you have never seen or heard of before. Now, I just wanted to show you this And those of you who have followed my channel for a while know that I have shown you some things on Google Earth that you probably haven't seen before. This is Arkansas City, Kansas, and current studies and new discoveries. There was an ancient Indian town of thousands located in this area right here. And if you go to Google Earth here, you can see just the remnants of some walls and stuff here. But what really caught my attention when I was just looking around this area was something down here, and it looks like this is on private property, but I just couldn't help think that possibly this is an ancient earthwork right here. And I see a lot of weird stuff in this area, but this right here, this is built kind of on an elevated outcrop, but you notice here there seems to be something built up right here, and it goes this way, and it's kind of lost in the area of this house. But then you see something down here. Is this an ancient lost earthwork? Well, I kind of flip-flop on what I think about this, but as I said, this is by Arkansas City. And here we are aligned to north. If you want to check this out, I don't know what to think, but I think that's a possibility. But here, I'm drinking coffee here. If I don't sound like I'm quite awake, well, that's the way it is. But here is the Blythe Antelios, and I talked about this a few years ago. These are drawings in the California desert. We don't know how old these are, but these could be thousands of years old. But here, you see, there is a giant snake carved with the Blythe Antelios figures. And this is a place near the Arizona border in California that there was many of these things carved in the ground. And I guess at the start of World War II, Patton used this area, some of this area, as a bombing practice range, and a lot of these petroglyphs were lost at time. And this is a giant serpent effigy in Warren County, Ohio, that has been lost to time. Here you see the coiled tail, and this is a long effigy that no longer exists today. The area that it was in, there is a high school, Little Miami High School, but this is the area that that effigy was, lost to time. Now here is a diagram of some figures that were found, some rock formations, and where was this found? This was found at the bottom of a river in Connecticut, and there is serpent and other ancient symbols here. Now here is an old photo of Grand Mound in northern Minnesota, up by the border. And what makes this place really unique is not only is there a large earthen pyramid up here, but what makes this place pretty unique is off the mound here, there is a giant tail coming off that is just lost to overgrowth. And not many people know that it's there, but there is a giant tail coming off of this large mound. Up by the Rainy River, good walleye fishing up there. Here is the diagram around Pipestone, Minnesota. This is near the South Dakota border. And here there are snake symbols and other things carved in the ground, and this was an important area for gathering materials to make artifacts such as pipes and stuff, the red pipestone from this area, from my home state of Minnesota. And here is a giant serpent effigy with an oval around its mouth area, and this is a depiction. Where is this coming from? Florida, near Lake Okeechobee. So from California to Florida, up to the Great Lakes, the serpent culture was everywhere. But what is the symbolism of Serpent Mound? The serpent had a few different meanings to some ancient cultures that were in the Americas, but certainly one of them was something falling from the heavens. A serpent was a common depiction of that. And the tail of the comet, and the tail of a serpent. And this is a coiled tail here. And I just can't help but think when I see depictions of the planets, ours is the third rock from the sun, while we have a three-coiled tail here. Is this a depiction of something bad happening? to our planet in its relation to the other planets in the sun and our solar system. And the serpent is also regeneration. I mean, just think the serpent shedding the skin, regeneration. And people say this is an egg down here. Well, I have put out the theory that this could actually have been a turtle in ancient times. Now here is a serpent in Iowa, a diagram of it. And here is what is located around the head area. And I made a video a couple years ago where I showed where some features had been lost to time around that oval, around the head, that Serpent Mound. And I put out the slight suggestion that maybe it was a turtle around the head, and the turtle was really the main creature of creation in the Mayan and a lot of early native stories. And I just read an article a couple nights ago where some of these, they theorized there was a turtle around the head, and that was put out by more than a few writers. Now, I'm just going to play a clip. That turtle of creation, that's just a possibility, something that I was thinking about a few years ago, and I think it's worth repeating, so let's just play a little bit from this video, Serpent Mound and the turtle creation I did a few years ago.
This is not, I believe now, the cosmic egg, but it still has to do with creation. But what I think this represents, and you can see how this top area here is kind of like a dome, and this sits on top of it, and I believe this represents a turtle. And you remember the turtle has a direct place in the Mayan mythology myth. And if you look at this here, and then go over and look at the Mayan creation myth, you have the turtle here with the three tunes or stones on the back representing the belt stars of Orion, and that's immediately associated with a triangle where the smoke from the Orion Nebula represents creation. And here you have something that looks like a turtle, both in the land formation and how it's represented on top, directly associated with the triangle. So, and the serpent in Mayan mythology and a lot of Native American mythology is like the umbilical cord that connects the god to the creation. So I totally believe that this could be a representation of a turtle up here. And if we go back to this picture, the turtle has the three stones on its back. And if you go to this picture, and this comes from Ohio history, the circle here, and some of these features are not shown on some of these pictures because stuff has deteriorated. They put a park in here, paths. But this picture from Ohio history actually shows what looks like three different dots connected here that looks a little bit like Orion from the turtle story. But it is connected with the triangle, and I just can't ignore the fact that we have a triangle and something that looks like a turtle here.
Now, since we had serpent effigies carved from California to Minnesota to Florida, all over the United States, I wanted to reach back into the farthest, earliest myths coming from people that lived in the place we call the United States now, and what ties it has to the serpent and anything I could find. So I'm just going to read a little bit here. Now here's an article from Sacred Text. I'll just leave this link below. But this talks about the earliest legends coming from these mound builder groups and Hopewell and Adena cultures, and really people that we are just guessing on who they were. But it says, here we noted that they looked towards the rising sun, towards Atlantis, for their original home of their race. It says, and bad weather was coming, distemper was coming, with death was coming. All this happened very long ago at the first land, Netamaki, and the strong snake readily resolved to destroy or fight the beings or the men. The dark snake he brought, the monster he brought, the snake rushing water he brought. Much water is rushing, much go to hills, much penetrate, much destroying. Now, it seems like long ago, the serpent was associated with this destroying of a certain world. and also the creation of the New World. Just think of the serpent shedding its skin, regeneration, recreation of a different world. And wouldn't that be the most important symbol? Your culture coming through a cataclysm that really, the flood story is documented by all tribes in North America and the Mayans. But wouldn't it be appropriate, that creation of your new world, the serpent, is that what is depicted at Serpent Mound? I ask that question. But what is the symbolism of Serpent Mound? The serpent had a few different meanings to some ancient cultures that were in the Americas, but certainly one of them was something falling from the heavens. A serpent was a common depiction of that. And here is another overhead look at Serpent Mound. And you notice nearby there are some mound sites right down here. I just thought I would show you that. But any comments are welcome from people who live and have visited this area and their impressions of the site. Now, the age of Serpent Mound, people are saying, this is 500, 1,000 years old. How old really is this? Well, I'm just going to read from an article here. Now, the dating of Serpent Mound, there's been a lot of guesses put out there, and really, to me, that's all they are, is guesses. But this is an article, and I will leave the link below. It says, history got it wrong. Scientists now say Serpent Mound as old as Aristotle. Serpent Mound in rural Adams County is one of the premier Native American earthworks in the hemisphere. Its pristine flowing form was enhanced by major reconstruction in the 1880s. That reconstruction now appears to have been a second time in its long life that Serpent Mound has shed some of its skin. Estimates of the age of the earthwork are now radically revised as results of new radiocarbon dating has been analyzed, suggesting that the mound is about 1,400 years older than conventionally thought. The new date of construction is estimated approximately 321 BC. Now, that radically changes the date of most of the theories that I have heard. And it really asks the question, do they really know? How old is this? Well, it appears to be at least 2,300 years old, minimum. Now, most of my theories, I just try to present new information, put out possibilities. There are a few subjects that I'm pretty adamant on, as, say, yesterday's video subject matter. But I'm just presenting some new thoughts on Serpent Mound, and I am fully aware of the alignments, and I will not ignore those, and I think Matt goes over those in his video that he did, Ancient Architects. Check out that channel, and his video that he did yesterday. But I'm thinking, just my first thought, my intuition, this has to do with the creation of the New World. Seems the serpent in the most ancient myths was tied to something falling from the heavens, a great flood, and the New World beginning, and wouldn't that be your most important symbolism? And it was coast to coast, all across the country, this snake symbolism, and it's right on the edge of an ancient crater. Were they telling us something here? Things I think about. So I just thought I'd give you my thoughts on Serpent Mound, give you a good look. This is located in Ohio, and somebody wants to leave the name of the nearest city to this. I should have looked at that before I made this video. But we have many ancient ruins coming from the people living a long time ago in this area of the country. I don't know how old this is. It could be very old. But certainly to me, it's the most important symbol coming from the people who lived in the very ancient United States. Hope you thought that was cool, and you all have a very nice day.